It's been a week of showdowns and face-offs with authorities after 99ers congregated in New York to voice opposition to Spectra Energy, New York-New Jersey expansion pipeline. In Portland, the Free PFC Manning and End the Drone Wars protests ended with 5 arrests after the 99ers refused to leave President Obama's campaign office. But the point was made, and the Wake Up Wall Street Express pulled into Grand Central Station for a whistle stop on the way to tell big pharma company Pfizer to get its money out of politics. We say down with drones and Manning home. One of the hottest, driest summers on record still grips the United States, as does 99er discontent. Americans are split into several camps this presidential election year. Great divides exist between people guided by corporate media who think the ballot box actually has meaning, people living in apathy, bowed down by economic hardship and social injustice, and people who want to forge a better world who say the time is right for dancing and marching in the streets.
My name is Sandra, and I'm against fracking in general because it's a very toxic operation where they use toxic chemicals to extract gas from the earth. And it's happening in upstate New York and all over the country. Probably some of the viewers, you've seen the documentary Gaslands. I actually haven't seen that documentary, but from my understanding, fracking is very dangerous. It's some earthquakes may have been associated with the fracking, and I was shocked to learn a few months ago that fracked gas, they're building a pipeline to bring fracked gas from upstate New York to Manhattan. And I went to the last public hearing about it that happened sometime in the fall or winter, and actually they hadn't publicized the hearings at all until the last one. Some Occupy people came to the hearing, and they really haven't fully reviewed all the health effects of fracking, or it threatens our water supply. And I think most New Yorkers, and I'm sure many people in this neighborhood, don't even know that they're about to begin building a pipeline that's going to so they can bring fracked gas to the neighborhood. And in general, I think we have to start using alternative means of energy and get away from fossil fuels, because obviously the planet cannot sustain
Don't let your jogging pants blow up.
Having all this pollution put out into the atmosphere, and we're already seeing the effects with the weather. So that's why I'm here today, and I hope other people will join the opposition to this pipeline and to fracking, and we can start using alternative means of energy and funding it. And I would also encourage people, if they have investments in fossil fuels, to really get together and try to think of a way of divesting from fossil fuels and investing in solar and wind and other energy that poses much less of a threat than fossil fuels.
Occupy Wall Street and a coalition of activists spent Wednesday at the Spectra showdown. Their intent is to shut down the Spectra Energy New York-New Jersey expansion pipeline, now under 16 miles of construction under Staten Island, Jersey City, the Hudson River, and into New York City's West Village.
We are here to stop that pipeline. Amen, hallelujah.
Everyone for being here. Yes, we're standing up, we're rising up, and we are brave, and we are strong, and we are going to smack down Spectra. The Spectra showdown started last Thursday. It's going to continue, and it's not going to stop until we have edified New York City as to why the Spectra pipeline, known as the New Jersey-New York expansion project, is not our sustainable clean energy future. Spectra is a worldwide public conglomerate that violates human, environmental, and economic health every day. Their 2011 annual report, it's page 22, has a declaration that you can find in every fracker, every infrastructure builders filings with the SEC, and their annual reports, which are filed with the SEC. They cannot guarantee risk of loss, which means they cannot guarantee our health and our safety. They cannot get the insurance to do such. Why? Because insurers are standing in line not to insure. Fidelity, GMAC, among others, and the newest to join that group is Nationwide. They shouldn't be responsible for lethal seismic industrialization that turns our communities into dead zones.
30 to 42-inch diameter pipes will pump massive quantities of toxic, radon-laced fracked gas straight into homes, along with health and explosion risks.
Hello, my name is Morgan Janess. I was a creative advisor on the film Gasland by Josh Fox, which was an Academy Award-winning documentary about the whole situation across the country around the procedure of getting natural gas out of the ground by fracking, which is to drill a hole deep in the ground into the shale and to basically pump thousands of gallons of water mixed with all kinds of chemicals, some of which are carcinogenic, into the shale in order to frack it, to make fissures in the shale and then release the gas. This is really problematic, even though the gas industry likes to say it's safe. They say, well, it's beneath the water tables. But the problem is that a lot of the containers for the fracking, that the metal drill goes down are cement cracks. Also, things leak into the water. People around fracking areas have had their water literally catch on fire, which is a very dramatic moment in the film Gasland. Also, there's all kinds of quality, it harms the air quality, and the gas industry uses all these chemicals which they really are resisting releasing. The list of chemicals has been gotten, and a lot of them are really dangerous. So the whole idea of natural gas, which is being touted as an alternative, safe energy alternative to oil, is not true. So gas itself is dangerous and polluting. The other thing is the Spectra gas line. This company has a terrible rate of accidents in various other places that it's had gas lines. There have been spills, there have been explosions. The whole thing with having it here is that we don't really need the gas in New York City. In fact, it's said that the gas isn't even going to be used for New York City. It's being brought in for export. There's a children's playground right at the next pier. It's dangerous. It opens up a whole kind of need, quote unquote, for more fracking upstate. Governor Cuomo, there was a ban on fracking. He's allowed, I think, about 30-some wells now to be drilled, presumably outside the water table for New York City. But it just opens up a whole door. So the gas line in itself is dangerous. It opens up an excuse to have more fracking upstate, which we don't need. And the other thing is just the way it's been done. They kind of snuck it in. No one in this community had any say. And basically this is another example of corporate interests and corrupt government, I have to say, working together for selfish interests against the needs and of the people, and without the safety of the citizens in mind.
The people know there's greener, cleaner energy and want to stop Spectra in its tracks. They could use more boots on the ground.
Somehow or other we escaped.
We're not going to let them bring in this equipment tonight. They're going to take one look at us, and hopefully they're going to turn around. What you're seeing here is part of a movement against the destruction of this planet. Because the same banks that are foreclosing on people in East New York are foreclosing on Earth. In this particular case, Spectra and its subsidiary, Texas Eastern, has paid about $4 million in fines for corrosion in their pipelines.
New York 99ers also concentrated this week on actions against corporations subsidized by the state in return for creating jobs or otherwise enhancing local communities who back out of the deal later on.
started something with Vocal New York, and I'm unemployed. And it really upsets me to know that corporations such as Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, receiving these subsidies from taxpayers, are not investing that money back into the community, back with the people who need jobs, but instead lining their pockets. I call it business as usual and what? Misleading lies. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, business as usual and misleading lies. Enough is enough.
Banks and other companies are given subsidies and tax breaks based on their promises to provide thousands of jobs, but lay people off instead.
Good morning. My name is Peter Heltzel, and I am the Assistant Minister at Park Avenue Christian Church and the Director of the Micah Institute at New York Theological Seminary. Faith leaders are out this morning at this protest of Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, because we are sick and tired of corporations in our city taking our taxpayer money and not delivering on what they said they were going to do. For example, Merrill Lynch took millions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that said they were going to create jobs and instead have cut jobs. And this was to build Lower Manhattan, the whole area in the World Financial Center that was negatively impacted after 9/11. And now they've pulled out and are moving into this Bank of America tower to have harbor in this bank that was also implicated in the mortgage crisis.
OWS was on the beat with their fourth Wake Up Wall Street, Money Out of Politics, marching from Bryant Park to Grand Central Station, then on to their target, Pfizer, a pharmaceutical giant they say buys politicians and profits from a broken healthcare system. More showdowns against corporate wrongdoing were held across the country in solidarity with workers in the country of Colombia, who are engaged in a hunger strike against General Motors. Workers exploited by GM and fired for injuries received on the job have been fighting the subsidiary over a year to no avail. So a few of them have literally sewn their mouths shut in an effort to make the world pay attention and force the company to do right by them. Occupy didn't stop at facing off with corporate and energy conglomerates this week. They took on governments as well in solidarity actions on behalf of persecuted and imprisoned whistleblowers in tandem with anti-war protests against drones. Julian Assange, of WikiLeaks fame, has found sanctuary at Ecuador's embassy in London. The British government mobilized police and officials stated midweek that centuries-old diplomatic conventions would not stand in the way of taking Assange. Occupy London called emergency actions to focus the eyes of the world on the standoff, and solidarity actions were held in Los Angeles, among other U.S. cities. Assange was granted asylum by Ecuador and, at this writing, is safe. Another whistleblower, Private Bradley Manning, has been in military prisons for over 2 years. He is accused of supplying WikiLeaks with a collateral murder video, Afghan war diary, Iraq war logs, and thousands of U.S. diplomatic cables which provided the world with truth about civilian casualties in Iraq, human rights abuses by the U.S. and its contractors, along with international diplomacy rife with spying and bribery. Support actions for Nobel Peace Prize nominee Manning were held across the country, and Portland, Oregon activists marched from military recruiting offices to the Obama campaign training facility, where they occupied the building, culminating in 5 arrests. Manning's solidarity actions were combined with peace protests against U.S. drone attacks in several locations across the states. Activists demanded an end to the drone wars which violate international laws, national sovereignty, and fan anti-U.S. sentiment. Over 4,300 human beings in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia have been killed by U.S. drones. In fact, while American protesters were in the streets, another U.S. drone strike targeted vehicles in Pakistan and killed 4 more alleged militants.
Free Bradley Manning! Free Bradley Manning! Free Bradley Manning! Free Bradley Manning! Free
especially due to the patriotic motivations behind these actions attributed to him.
It's a sidewalk. Am I being detained, or what are you doing? I don't. No, you don't have authority over me like that. I don't think so.
We are the people, 11 out of 3. We want justice for Bradley Manning now. Free Bradley Manning now. Free Bradley Manning. 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 Free Bradley Manning.
Okay, so I'm gonna go out.
Let's go.
The people's struggle to end wars has a long history. A famous old house in Washington, D.C. has been home to anti-nuclear, pro-peace vigils since 1980. Located near the White House, Peace House has provided home and office to peace organizations for many years. Occupy DC found shelter there, and Occupy Peace House is a mission to provide inspiration, education, and organizational support to occupiers and peace activists locally and globally. Peace House is a nonprofit dependent on donations and facing eviction at the end of this month. Say what?
For a peace stability in the world with a nuclear-free world, and to stop any more confrontation like we're facing now, Israel with Iran. Israel has no right to instigate into bombing Iran or any other country. Nuclear weapons is the fate of the earth. If this is going to be, it will be the end of the planet, because it will enter Russia, it will enter China, and that's it. It's insane. Why the United States support Israel and doing, we did in Iraq, we did in Syria, and now they try to go bombing in Iran. I mean, where is Israel?
OWS has had an active week highlighting the real news while standing in solidarity with victims of corporate exploitation, unjust persecution, and military aggression around the world. One has to wonder about skewed priorities when one sees authorities' ruthless tactics against humans trying to create a more loving, peaceful, and sustainable future. One also wonders when more people will find the courage to step out of the machine's gears and stand with their brothers and sisters. If not now, when?
These were lies. I'm giving them back.
Once a concept of future war, combat and surveillance drones have become the terrible reality of a militarized world in which national sovereignties mean very little in the face of the ruling powers' grab for resources around the world. Missile strikes by the U.S.-operated combat drones in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia have approximately doubled under the administration of President Barack Obama. The corporate media drum home their story of the war against terror day and night, desensitizing the world population to the pictures of bloodied victims of drone strikes who have been proven in most cases to be civilians. The international implications of murder by remotely operated vehicles are huge, with the UN having fallen short of up-to-date rules to eliminate the use of drones for what is in essence selective assassinations. There's a general lack of willpower among governments to rein in or limit combat UAV operations, despite appalling civilian casualties caused by drone missile strikes. This is because, in most cases, UAVs have been designed to put down domestic dissent should things go that far. Human rights and anti-war groups around the world have so far been unable to even cause small delays in the production and use of combat drones. Occupy Wall Street has, ever since its beginning, has condemned the assassination drones operations and decried the enormous human toll from such actions. It has repeatedly called for the banning of deadly drones and drone operations. However, with the 99ers battered and detained by the police states around the globe, many activists wonder if there will ever by any success against the military stalwart of the 1% and the indiscriminate murder of civilians by drone missile strikes.